to be able to, what I like to call, see the dots. And then to be able to connect the dots and to be able to have discussions with people who think in the same way that you think. So, that to me means so much, because again, it's like you're speaking a foreign language in many cases, and because people just don't understand what you're saying in your head, or what you're saying, from a problem standpoint, or troubleshooting, or what have you. So, I mean, those things to me are the things that I look for, because I can definitely find parallels.
I'm Tracy Lovejoy.
And I'm Shannon Lucas.
We're the co-CEOs of Catalyst Constellations, which is dedicated to catalyzing innate change makers to accelerate positive change. This is our podcast, Move Fast, Break Shit, Burn Out, where we highlight catalysts that are creating amazing change in the world. And in this season of the podcast, we're diving deep into the skills that make catalysts successful. And we have someone today that has amazing skills. Chad, you want to say hello, Chad?
Hello, Chad.
We are delighted to have with us today Chad Sowash. He is the co-host of Chad and Cheese podcast, HR's most dangerous podcast, one of my very favorites. He has 20 years of military experience. Oh, I won't. He has 20 years of military experience, including combat service, experience as an infantry drill sergeant, and more than 15 years in leadership positions where he led, managed, and motivated groups ranging from 5 to more than 200 folks. In addition to his military service, he draws upon extensive recruitment industry experience. He worked at Online Career Center, Monster.com, spent 10 years with Direct Employers Association, where he served as both vice president of membership and business development. We are delighted as well to announce that Chad is our newest member of our advisory board. Welcome, Chad. Thank you.
I still don't have the sash though, so it's not yet official.
We're coming to Portugal to deliver it. It's okay.
Okay, come on over to Portugal.
Catalyst sash coming. All right, we'd love to kick off today, Chad, by hearing, how do you relate to the concept of catalyst?
It's still hard for me to put myself in any group, because it's been so long, because I just didn't feel like I existed in any group per se. And then I turned that into kind of like my superpower. So, that was the thing. I could do things that most people couldn't do, and that was okay. But I didn't fit in any group per se. I was an athlete, I was this, but I just didn't feel like I belonged in many cases. So it's hard, to answer or not answer the question. It's really hard to really fit and feel myself fitting into a group, but having discussions and continuing having discussions with people like yourselves and other friends who I know are catalysts, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. Let me just say that it does. So yeah, that's, to me, I feel like I kind of fit in to some extent, but again, I don't want to get rid of my superpower of not fitting in at the same time.
We want to embrace your individuality. And so, let's assume we're not talking about it having to be a group, but what are the attributes of catalysts that resonate with you as you just kind of, tap them?
Yeah, there's so many. How do I boil them down? To be able to, and we'll talk more about this, to be able to, what I like to call, see the dots. And then to be able to connect the dots and to be able to have discussions with people who think in the same way that you think. So, that to me means so much, because again, it's like you're speaking a foreign language in many cases, because people just don't understand what you're saying in your head, or what you're saying, from a problem standpoint, or troubleshooting, or what have you. So, I mean, those things to me are the things that I look for, because I can definitely find parallels.
Yeah, that's my experience of you. So thank you for sharing that part. We'd love to have you share with us, what do you feel are 1 to 2 essential skills that have made you successful as a catalyst? Wrapping in some stories, letting us know if there's been any problem spaces related to that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been problems. I think, going through school, I had a problem because I didn't know how to troubleshoot and problem solve. When I got into the military, that was really what the focus was, and it provided me a framework to troubleshoot and really understand, okay, there's a process that your brain just doesn't have right now. There's a framework that your brain needs to start to use to make sense out of this stuff because it just didn't make sense before. So first and foremost, troubleshooting, right? To be able to go through the troubleshooting process and then problem solving at that point. You've got to find out what the problem is, the troubleshooting. Then you have to solve for that problem, right? So there's the step-by-step kind of scenario. And that really, for me, was the base of how to kind of like reset and rewire my brain to communicate with people and get shit done. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is you can talk about things all day, but how do you actually framework it into an infrastructure that ends in execution?
Yeah.
Yes.
And for those of you that haven't heard it yet, in season 2, Chad and I go deep on how the military really helped form his ability to move from those issues in high school into what you're able to do now, like breathing, which is amazing. And that was so fascinating to me. So as I skip over that piece, I want people to know it's because, you and I have had that discussion and people can go hear that. As you talk about the need to be able to troubleshoot, frame the problem and troubleshoot, is there any relationship that you see to HR, which is where you're, do so much of your focus today?
Oh God, yes. HR in recruiting and the technologies that we use and how we're underfunded. I mean, there's so many problems that we have. To be able to troubleshoot for me is incredibly easy. Now it's hard because I've been in this industry for 25 years, so I have a great depth of experience and knowledge, not just on the technical side, but also process methodologies, building systems, and talent pipelines. So for me, yeah, there's no question. And again, there's like a rush of solving of the problem that happens that I want to try to get out, but I have to do it in a very different way for especially for non-catalysts and just basic Joe and Jane public.
What is that like, or are there skills within that you're talking about of the connecting, you're a catalyst and you're like, or you have catalyst like traits. I don't want to I don't want to put baby in a corner, right? But this is how you think, right? The dots come together. And then you mentioned that there's kind of other folks that don't have that way of thinking. What is that like? And how do you do that work?
Yeah, that's hard because it's about patience. And I think what has helped me the most is kids. Because I do have catalysts to some extent that are kids that are going through the same thing. And I had a discussion with one of them yesterday, and she wants to jump to the finish before she's even started. And that's what we do because we know it's like, we just want to get there, and it's like no. There's a patience in actually getting there, and it's good for you and it's good for everybody around you, especially because she wants to be a leader tomorrow. And I did too. So, but there's a process, and there's, experience, and there's a proving, and then there's a trust, right? There's so much that needs to happen around that. So, I don't know that anything has helped me more than my kids. And then also being a drill sergeant, because seeing my kids and then going to see somebody else's kids and trying 18, 20 years old and try to bring them up. It's like, oh yeah, no, mine are doing pretty well.
I'm hearing patience is a key skill to develop, as well as it's like this interesting relativity that when you can see your traits in other people and see what their natural tendencies are and the impact, like it helps you self-reflect.
Oh, yes.
That's really powerful.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I'd never had anybody really articulate to me how to pull the reins on my brain, right? How to pull, even when I had the framework to get to one to the next, I was just faster than everybody else. But there's times when you're leading a team or you're part of a team where you've got to pull the reins. And it's incredibly important. It is incredibly important because you can't do everything by yourself, because you will burn out. And that's why you need to learn these different skills.
It's interesting because I think a lot of conventional wisdom we hear is that you should find mentors that are way ahead of you. Right. And what you're saying is like, look at folks that maybe aren't doing it great and figure out what you need to learn from that. And it's so sweet. Like with your kids, we have all the patience in the world, right? Because you don't expect them to do it great out of the gate, but you're like, and these young recruits, that you're working with, and like the patience to understand that you begin to see the phases of what you yourself are going to have to go through. That's really powerful.
Well,
Chad,
I think it's incredibly important to understand that everybody has something to teach, right? And you can learn something from everyone. And once we get beyond that, and we think we have nothing to learn from certain individuals or what have you, that's when we get stuck in our own ego, and we have to back up. And that's easy to do as a catalyst. It really is, because you find yourself jumping and being faster and being able to do things so much, I don't want to say better, just differently than everybody else, but you think it's better, right? And you categorize it as better, and being able to gain more experience, I guess just years, I'm just going to say it. I've been able to kind of pull back and breathe and watch and just be better about it, because man, I tell you what, I was a tyrant at one time.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
I really don't. No, I mean, you know how it's interesting, because when I first started in the military, and then you start getting into leadership tracks, you're still just a baby in the infancy of being a leader. I got out of the military full time, and I went into corporate America, where I got into a management position, and I was not ready for a management position at that time. And to be quite frank, most people in the civilian world are not ready for management and leadership duties when they're bestowed upon them. I got further into the military, went through more leadership schools. I went through drill sergeant school, those types of things, and I was taught more around that, and it helped out a lot. I mean, I remember having a year and a half or activation down in Fort Benning, Georgia, going to more schools, doing the drill sergeant on the trail as an infantry drill sergeant. And then just being able to back up and go, whoa, when I get back to corporate America, I'm going to do so much different. So there's still a lot to learn. And I like to surround myself with people. And again, they don't have to be A drivers or anything like that. You can learn, I think, from anyone.
Shan, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I did, because I was just curious, like going back when you were talking about the patients and watching your daughter, you mentioned another key word, which is trust. And you talked about how there's these people who show up differently than we do, and you're helping her understand that trust building is one of the components of bringing people on that journey. And I'm just wondering if you can talk more about that.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about my other daughter then too, because she is slower. She sees the dots, but she is so much more mature than I was at that age, because she is more reserved. But she sees the dots. She can connect the dots. And once we start having a discussion, she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I get that," which I wouldn't have been able to do very young, because she trusts me, right? And so both my daughters, they have obviously high amount of trust, but they look at what I say differently because I'm dad. And they're still going through that frontal lobe development thing where trust is not the easiest thing in the world. But I think when we, and again, as I was younger, and being put into leadership positions and whatnot, I don't think I had the trust and patience, and those are two things I think are vital for every catalyst to be able to really mature into what they're going to end up being, and if they don't, you're going to turn into something else, and I didn't want to be what that something else would have been.
Do you have advice for catalysts on how to do the trust building? Because to your point, our vision can seem so clear and the right way. And so we can be really arrogant and abrasive in terms of like, why the fuck can't you get this?
Yeah.
Why do I have to explain it 10 times? So what is your advice for catalysts in terms of that trust building?
Yeah, so it's the exact same conversation I had with my oldest daughter, because that's her right now. She was me when I was her age. I knew I had the answers. I knew exactly what was going on. I just want to go to the finish line because I got it, right? And, luckily she trusts me and we can have these discussions. That's the thing, is that we have to understand that even though we do collect a lot of the dots and connect the dots, we still don't have them all.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that she needs to understand right now. It's like, hey, you feel like you have all the dots, but you have maybe a fifth or a tenth or not many at all, right? As you start to collect more of them, then yes, you'll be ahead of the pack with regard to, building programs and making decisions and those types of things. But right out of the gate, just because you think you know and you process better and faster than everybody else doesn't mean that you really do have the problem solved at this point.
Oh, you just gave me a new kind of metaphor for us to use a catalyst. That was so awesome. I'm thinking of like the Easter egg hunt now. That, okay, we are natural dot connectors, but there are a lot of folks out there with more Easter eggs, with more dots that we need to both pull in as well as collect information for them to really help us see more fully.
Yes.
That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that gift. I just wrote that down.
Thank you for pulling it out of me.
Yes. Yeah, it's a team sport. So what are you facing personally these days? What are kind of the biggest challenges you have as a Catalyst leader right now?
I think it's always patience. I mean, because we're wired differently, right? And we're not wired for patience. I'm better at it now, but I'm still not great, and I need to ask my wife. I still need I still need to be more patient, and that is the hardest thing. Is being able to slow down and not just slow your brain down, but slow your process and just slow everything down.
Yes.
I so appreciate you saying that, because it was one of the key skills that you listed in the last part of our conversation. And then you're like, and it's still growing, right? Like, you've done all this work. It was honed in the military. You learned it as a leader. That being a parent has really been a key place that's happened, and still. And I so get you. Just the other day, my daughter was like, Mom, you're the most patient, impatient person I know.
She sees you. She sees you. That's hilarious.
And she's like, with me and my brother, you can be so patient.
And then
she's
other
like,
people.
and then the rest of the world, you're like, get to it.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel like we have you just named something that the three of us know. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shannon for some rapid fire.
Oh, rapid fire, my favorite.
Awesome. So one thing that you do to prep for a big meeting or maybe a big show or conference.
Yeah, I collect my thoughts, which is one of the hardest things I can do because there's so many of them and I do so much research. It's trying to compartmentalize in some cases, the information, and think about the flow of the conversation, and not really to dictate it, but to hopefully, be a part of it.
Super solid. Thank you. Favorite way to spend a free day?
On the beach, doing nothing. And I say this because, and I'm keep going back to it, is I don't know how to sit still a lot of times. I always have to be doing something. My brain has to be going, and being at the beach, which I mean it's a great exercise. Being at the beach allows me to do that. It allows me to slow down, allows me to relax and just take it all in.
So are you like, I just have to ask, are you busy building sand castles and jumping into the waves and reading books, or is it really just like you're just on the beach?
Yeah, no, I am laying under a cabana. I am taking it in. I go in when I start getting warm. I'll hit the water, come back in, but just to be able to make myself slow down.
Nice. That sounds delicious. I could use some of that. All right. Famous catalyst, alive or dead, and why?
His name is Bill Strickland. I first saw Bill speak in Texas at a conference. It was actually, believe it or not, at a Texas workforce conference back in the day. He was touting his new book, Make the Impossible Possible, which I suggest everybody out there read. At this point, I didn't know what a catalyst was, but I knew I was like him. And it not only made me happy, it made me, as I'd said before, feel like I was actually a part of some type of group, in whatever group he was a part of. But he is a storyteller, and he told stories around the problems that he solved and how he and his band of misfits actually solved them. And it was just amazing. And to the fact of, they saw in Pittsburgh that Heinz, the big ketchup company, they had a need for individuals in culinary, and so he actually went to them and said, "Hey, look, let's build a school for all these out of work moms and all these individuals who are having problems, finding jobs and whatnot here in Pittsburgh. Put them through that and just give you what you need." Which is, again, if you think about it, it is so simple and it just makes so much sense. And when you're talking about a company like Heinz, for goodness sakes, they have millions and millions of dollars. But the thing that they can't do is make more money if they don't have the talent to be able to produce it. He saw all of that and he was able to easily articulate it. So that's just like one of many different stories that he has to tell around really being a catalyst. And he never said catalyst, but I just knew that he was a legend. Let's just say that. So Bill Strickland, out of Pittsburgh, good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
That's an amazing story. And it brings up another really powerful skill, which you are also obviously amazing at, which is the storytelling piece, right? It's like, if you can't bring Heinz on that journey if you can't tell the story to help them see the end part. And then he in turn is telling you the story that's activating you to lean into your superpowers. So powerful.
Yes.
I'll say, so we normally ask for a call to action. I'm going to let you have two, because one, we want everyone to listen to the Chad and Cheese podcast.
Yes.
That can be your second one too, but do you have another one?
Yeah, call to action is when you're listening to this and after you're done with it, go ahead and hit stop and then just breathe. We don't take enough time in our busy day. And, I know that more than Americans listen to your podcast, but I mean, we're focused on GDP, on, 40 hours plus a week and just go, 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 go. And what we need to do is think more Scandinavia and think of happy versus GDP. And to be able to do that, we need to back up, we need to relax and just take a breath. And that's what I try to do more, especially now since it's sunny and I'm in Portugal. I try to do more of that.
I just want to honor that with like a moment of pause of silence. It's so beautiful.
And you don't know how hard it is for me to be able to just do that now, because they've got three of us and I've got two catalysts that I usually don't get in a room often. It's hard not to continue conversations with people like you, because you guys bring so much to the space. And just from reading the book and then being on our show and then me being on your show, it's allowed me to dig deeper. So I appreciate that from both of you.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind.
We appreciate you, and also just that call to action for the stillness. It is so powerful in our crazy fucking world. Oh, well, thank you, Chad, for being here again. And thank you to our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how to accelerate positive change, go to our website at catalystconstellations.com.
Be sure to check out our book, Move Fast, Break Shit, Burn Out. And if you have catalysts in your life, hit the share button and send a link their way. They want to breathe too.